Welcome to the N1 Fitness Podcast. I'm your host as always, Marcus Sadu, and I actually had a different episode to release this week. However, I decided to put an additional pod together for you guys considering the coronavirus because I think it's more pertinent than the other topics. So, first off, I just want to say fortunately, if you're young and healthy already, I'm sure you know, but there's no need to worry for your personal health. However, you still want to put yourself in the best position possible from a health and immune function standpoint. So I'm going to be outlining exactly how to do that. So on the movement front, gyms are closed, so formal workouts with weights aren't really feasible unless you're lucky enough to have your own personal home gym. So we're not going to focus on what we can't do, because what's the point in that, right? We're going to focus on what we can do. Walking. Get it. You know me, I'm a big walking guy. Hit your 8,000 to 10,000 steps daily. This is going to be an awesome stress reduction tool as well. You'll also get daylight exposure, and as a result of that, you're going to sleep better at night. So there's all sorts of great downstream effects from just implementing walking. Also, if your body is sore in any way, so if you've got a sore back, for example, staying consistent with your 8,000 to 10,000 steps per day should clear it up rather quickly. Walking is the ultimate body balancer, in my opinion. It's not the gym, it's not physio, it's not yoga, it's not Pilates, it's fucking walking. We've been doing it for hundreds of thousands of years, so your body expects it, essentially. Now, if you're nailing your step counts and you'd still like to move more and go above and beyond, you can get some at-home workouts in. So even if you've got no equipment at all, there is a ton of stuff you can do. Squats, split squats, plie squats, regular push-ups, close grip push-ups, feet elevated push-ups, lunges, step-ups, stairs, tricep dips, planks, glute bridges, feet elevated glute bridges, single leg glute bridges, leg raises, crunches, calf raises. As you can see, there is a ton you can do. And if you've got something like a suitcase or a jug of milk, a bucket of rocks, you can add resistance to any movement you want. You can also do things like ride your bike, maybe play a bit of tennis, shoot hoops if you've got access to a basketball hoop, maybe even play some golf. So again, the point I want to drive home on the movement front is instead of focusing on what you can't do, implement what you can do. Nutritionally, single ingredient whole foods. They're the most healthful, the most filling, the lowest calorie, they digest well, and they just make you feel the best. A few examples of single ingredient whole foods. So a potato is a potato, right? It only contains potatoes. A cookie, on the other hand, is technically not actually a food, right? It's a combination of like 20 ingredients. It's got flour, sugar, butter, etc. So we want to focus on single ingredient whole foods. Meat, fish, eggs, dairy, rice, oats, fruit, veggies, root, shoots, tubers, all single ingredient foods. Those are going to be your best bet. Another way to think about this is to eat foods that don't have a nutrition label on them. As a general rule, those are the most healthful foods, and they're not packaged foods, they're the least processed foods. Now, your calorie needs are likely going to decrease right now, being that you're going to be spending a fair bit of time indoors, not moving as much as you typically do. But the drive to eat is probably going to be increased because, again, you're going to be spending a lot of time indoors just around food. This is definitely something to be aware of because you could rather easily put on a fair bit of weight right now. So pay really close attention to your intake and if anything, reduce it due to the shift in your day-to-day lifestyle at the moment. Besides eating out of boredom for something to do, you also want to be aware of eating for comfort. And instead, if you're looking for some comfort, find a more productive way to get it. So maybe call a family member and have a good chat, curl up on the couch and dig into a good book, or whatever provides you with that sort of comforting feeling. Now, it's also worth mentioning that digestion is extremely important and very closely linked with immune function, meaning you want to be sure you're digesting the foods you're eating super well because the small intestine, where your food passes through and absorbs nutrients, has the highest density of immune cells in the entire body. So you want to keep that thing functioning at full capacity. This is one of the primary reasons why nutrition is such a powerful tool in folks with autoimmune disease. So I've had quite a few clients put their autoimmune conditions into complete remission just by shifting their nutrition and then, of course, paying attention to movement, sleep, and stress management habits as well. Sleep. So essentially everybody falls into the 7 to 9 hour per night range. But something to be especially aware of right now is how much light exposure you're getting on the daily, because light entering your eye is the primary input letting your body know what time of day it is. So for example, if you were to stay inside all day and not get much, if any, light in your eyes, it's probably going to be hard to fall asleep that night because you didn't give your body the signal of daytime. So it essentially throws off your circadian rhythm or your body clock. So even if you don't get your steps in, be sure to at least sit outside for a bit so you can keep your body clock on track, which will help your sleep at night. The earlier in the day you can get your light exposure, the better as well. So ideally before noon if possible. Also, getting adequate daylight exposure actually minimizes the negative effects of bright light via your phone, television, or computer later in the day. So you still want to limit blue light exposure via your devices at night. However, they're going to impact you less if you get outside for 20 to 30 minutes earlier in the day, fortunately. Now, reading a good old-fashioned paperback book before bed is an awesome way to wind down. You don't get any blue light exposure that may keep you up. And I don't know about you, but my head starts to bob after a page or two, so reading pre-bed really sets me up for an awesome sleep. If you're someone that gets a bit of busy brain from time to time, keeping a little pen and notepad next to your bed and doing some writing has been really, really useful for a bunch of my clients. The point here isn't necessarily to think a lot about what you're writing. It doesn't even matter if your writing is all that legible or it even makes sense. Just get it out. Whatever you're feeling, get it out. You can think about this like taking out the garbage or going to the bathroom mentally and emotionally. It's pretty hard to fall asleep at night if you've got to pee, right? So you hit the bathroom and then you can clear the way for a restful sleep. Stress management. So I've said this before and I'll mention it again. When we sort out our nutrition, movement, and sleep habits, that often handles the stress management side of things quite well. However, we're in a bit of a unique situation here, so I think additional stress management strategies could be super useful. Number one is monitor your news and social media time. I don't think watching or having the news on 24/7 is a great idea right now or ever really. Also, take note of how you feel after not having used social for say 3, 4, or 5 hours versus checking it quite frequently. You definitely want to stay informed. However, informed is very much different than reading all sorts of niche articles and conspiracy theories and just overdoing that stuff in general. Secondly, stay connected with friends and family via text, phone calls, FaceTime, Skype, all that good stuff. Fortunately, we have amazing technology at our fingertips right now that can keep us connected without actually being physically in the same place, which is incredible. Number 3 is to learn. Dive into a topic that you're curious about that isn't coronavirus. Humans need purpose. So if you're not working right now, learning something new can provide you with that purpose that we all inherently need so much. Also, it just feels good to learn new things. It's super healthy, and not to mention, you'll actually sleep better at night because learning taxes the brain in a good way that actually makes you tired. If you think about doing a weekend-long seminar or something like that, you sleep like a baby because it's incredibly energy intensive to learn all day long. Number 4, do that thing. Whatever just popped into your mind, that. It might be learn a new language, it might be start painting again or drawing or writing. Whatever you think you haven't had enough time for, you've got it now. So start it. And it'll fill that purpose bucket along with having you feel creative, which is awesome. Number 5, let's be honest, Netflix can be a stress management tool too. So I've got a couple recommendations for you. Comedy. We need a good laugh right now, so watching some stand-up would be awesome, just as a bit of a break from the seriousness, or a funny movie. If you're into documentaries, I just watched one called Cue Ball, which is really good. It's about a basketball program in San Quentin Maximum Security Prison that the Golden State Warriors are involved in. Highly recommend. It was really cool. Another great watch is Formula One Drive to Survive. It's incredible. I've never watched a Formula One race in my life, and I absolutely crushed this series. It was super, super interesting. Last Reco, Cuba and the Cameraman. This is an awesome documentary about how Cuba's changed, but also what I loved about it was how they profiled specific people, especially these three super cute Cuban brothers that worked on a farm well into their 90s, I think. It's an incredible documentary. So that's stress management buttoned up. I think the key right now is to focus on what you can do versus what you can't do, and use this time to potentially better yourself and learn and grow and do things that you haven't necessarily thought that you've had time for. I feel like this experience is already showing us just how connected we are. The thought of provinces, states, and countries is sort of just an idea. Humans are incredible, and I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that we're going to learn from this and come out the other end better off and with more insight across the board. Now, if you've got any questions, thoughts, concerns, or anything at all, feel free to reach out to me via Instagram at N1Fitness or Marcus Sidhu on Facebook. I'm here for you guys, and I'm open to providing any insight I can if you're curious about something. And if I can't answer your question, I'll do my best to point you in the direction of someone who can. I've been doing a lot of research on the coronavirus, and I've got to say I feel a lot better about our situation today than I did, say, 3 to 4 days ago. So things are looking up. We're going to get through this, and with a new appreciation for just how great we have it. So if anything, this has been a pretty incredible wake-up call in my opinion. It's amazing how a shift in perspective in a matter of only a few days can do that. I'll just wrap up with saying that the most important thing we can do right now is flatten the curve out. So feel free to use all these tips to gain as much as possible from this experience as a whole while you're doing that. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this episode, guys. If you think someone else would benefit from this information, share it along via email, social, or whatever. Take care of yourself, and I will catch you on the next episode. See ya.